we have taken up for study the Vak Sukta of the Rig Veda. So, in the last class, I had given an introduction to the Sukta and about the quality of speech. So, today we'll get into the first mantra. In Uttara Ramacharita, I had quoted a Subhashita, that is, that said, Uttara Ramacharita is a beautiful Sanskrit drama. Sri Rama admires the visiting of the sage Ashtavakra and Vasishtha Maharshi. Both of them actually visit Ramachandra, and then when he comes there, Vasishtha Maharshi's message was being carried by Ashtavakra, and then he comes to Rama's presence. And then, while understanding the words of the message that was coming, a lot of people convey message. So somebody says something, you please go tell this to somebody else. Usually, what happens, there will be a lot of distortion. So from the moment somebody gives you a message, and by the time the message reaches somebody, there will be distortion. And then many a time what happens, the meaning does not become clear, but for those for whom there is the blessing of Goddess Saraswati, and then for them what happens is whatever they say become true. So that is the ability of a Rishi. And what about ordinary people who have got that diligence, that capacity, and they are also good people, but who are not Maharshis? For them, whatever they speak, after they have spoken, the meaning becomes clear. Until somebody speaks, the meaning does not become clear. And as far as the rishis are concerned, however they speak, their meaning actually will become evident to us. Enigmatic statements could be made. Many of you who have studied Kenopanishad would know, Yasyamatam Namatam. That is, those who say we know Brahman, they don't know, and those who say that we don't know Brahman know. Even such words, because it has come from the mouth of the rishis, for somebody who is listening, the purport will go and you will be understanding that. Because what do you say? How do you understand that? This statement you understand by saying Brahman cannot be articulated in words. So that is how an intelligent person will actually interpret. So this Subhashita that Sri Ramachandra says is Laukikanam hi sadhunam artham vak anuvartate. Artham vak anuvartate. They just have to say something and meaning automatically follows. Rishinam punaradhyanam vacham artho anudhavati. That means when wise people speak that which is true, wise people speak what is true. But when the rishis speak, whatever they speak is truth. The moment they say something, it is truth. So that means there is no processing of what you have to say, saying that, and then vetting the idea. Am I saying the truth or not? If I am saying the truth, how should I utter that? All those things have happened in the mind of a noble person. And so much of thinking a rishi will not do. He simply speaks, and it will be true. And that is what we are asking for in the prayer of Vak Suktam. May I get such an inspiration of the sadhu vak, which is truthful speech, and then may Goddess Saraswati grant us. And here in this sukta, Goddess Saraswati is called Goddess of Speech or Vagdevi. And I also mentioned that there are at least 13 known synonyms for the word speech, for the vak. This is from the Amarakosha, Brahmi tu Bharati Bhasha, Gir, Vak, Vani, Saraswati, Vyahara, Uktihi, Lapitam, Bhashitam, Vachanam, Vachaha. So many 13 names are given. So all of them can be used synonymously, but also each one of them has slight different context in which you can use. So this Sukta, Vak Sukta, is a collection of both Rigveda and Yajurveda mantras, because Vak Sukta is used in our prayer, in our worship, and probably in Homa, in the Yajna, or on Saraswati Puja day. So on those days, since we are not confining to one corpus of the Veda. It is a collection of both Rigveda and Yajurveda, because Rigveda is prayer and Yajurveda is used in ritual. So both of them are, this sukta is applied for both. And the Rishi also I mentioned is Nemo Bhargava, because as I mentioned, whenever we study Vedic mantra, you must know who is the sage, Rishi, which is the Devata to which it is being addressed to, and the Chandas or the meter. Rishi, Devata, Chandas have to be known. The Rishi of this mantra, first mantra, is Nemo Bhargava, and the Devata is Vak Devata, and the Chandas is Trishtub. The Trishtub Chandas has got 4 lines of 11 syllables each. That is a total of 44 letters will be there. And so the mantra goes like this: Devim vachamajanayanta devaha tam vishvarupa pashavo vadanti svano mandresha murjanduhana dhenurvagasmanu pasustutaitu. So the wholesome, truthful speech, who created? It was created, Devim Vacham, the divine speech was Ajanayanta created or designed by Devaha, by the various gods. It was created by gods. There is a plural number. So we have to see who are all involved in creating the divine speech. Tam, that speech which is being uttered, Vishwarupaha. Vishwarupaha means those who are embodied. That means those beings which are embodied, which means they are live. Vishwarupa means embodied, and they are of all species. It's not specially only for the human species. All species make some noise. And all of those species have, all of those noises have meaning, because within the species they are able to communicate. So that is their language, and we also communicate with each other without making any sound, which is called avyakta vak. That means unarticulated sound, unarticulated speech, and articulated speech. This is common for both human beings as well as non-human beings. And all of this is created, this Devi, Vak, which enables many species, all the species to communicate, actually was designed by gods. Because it is not enough if you just create species. You must also give them the necessary intelligence. It may not be the highest intelligence, but necessary intelligence, at least for the pursuit of ahara, nidra, and then reproduction. So to that extent, intelligence has to be given. To that extent, communication ability has to be given. But what about the human beings? For the human beings, the Vak that we should speak is called as Dhenuhu Vak. Dhenuhu means the all-giving Kamadhenu. Such speech must be all-giving. So when we speak, it should be so powerful that from the cosmos we should be able to get all that we have to desire. All that we desire, of course, within the boundary of dharma. All of them has to come. And then What is it that we basically want? We basically want physical strength and we want food to nourish. And the mantra is Isham Urjam Duhana. Isham means food, Urjam means strength. That cow which milks for us food and strength is the divine speech. And that divine speech, Asman Sushtuta Upaitu, Asman to all of us, Sushtuta, favorably blessing us, Upaitu, may that come to us. O Goddess Saraswati, may I get such a speech, may you please grant me such a speech, which is a milk cow of Isham and Urjam, that means food and strength. So, who are the devatas that have brought out this walk? And this walk, of course, is of four kinds. That is that which is unarticulated, and that which has been visualized mentally, para pashyanti. Then which has been articulated, which has been formatted, pratyak, and then which has been uttered by Hari. And these are the four kinds of way in which communication happens among all species. So, which are all the species? The devatas, sura, human beings, nara, animals, tiryak, non-moving objects also, sthavara. The immovable objects also. For example, trees and plants, they don't move of their own. They don't go from point A to point B, but still they have got speech. They still talk. In fact, many experiments have been done of playing music, and the plants are supposed to have bloomed. So therefore, that is how communication among all beings takes place. And the cow, who is the cow that milks Isham and Annam, Isham and Urjam, that is food and strength? That is Vagdevi, is the Sakala Ishtartha Dayaka Dhenu. That is the all-giving, milking cow is Saraswati, is Devi, Vagdevi. So we say that may that Devi be pleased by our prayers and grant us Isham and Urjam, food and strength. So who are these gods? Again I said unarticulated, to idea, to formation of a sentence and the actual uttering of the sentence. So there are these stages. So the first of all, it is the concert of Brahma, also known as Brahmani or Brahmi. She is the one who gives the unarticulated idea. And this Brahmi, this walk now tries to form itself, and that has to be a derivative of Brahma. And the derivative of Brahma, according to the Purana, it is Indra, who represents the Tamoguna of Brahma. Because you can see in the various aspects of Indra's personality, there is a lot of Tamoguna also. And that is the manifestation of the Tamoguna, and therefore because it is Tamoguna, there is no sound. And even the idea has not been formed because it is in that state of darkness. Now, it has to be given an amount of force, and that force is given by blowing through your air. And therefore, the second of the devatas who gives this strength for our sound to come out is Vayu. So first it is Brahmi, then it is Vayu. So therefore, Vayu is the one which gives the impetus for the movement of the voice. But then the voice or the prayer should ignite action, isn't it? Now, suppose you make a prayer and that prayer is verbal. The benefit of the prayer can be materialistic. You go to your boss and you ask for a raise, and that is verbal. But what happens? You will get material return from that. So, therefore, a verbal statement should be able to ignite action. And therefore, the third kind of this expression of Vak is of Agni. And Tejomaya, he is the Devata who brings out action through Rupa. And this is also agrees with the Vedantic idea that Agni or Tejas is the one which gives form. Now the next is, this has to permeate through, and the experience of the joy must happen at all levels in our personality. And all the levels of our personality starts from joy, which is called Ananda, because when you make a wholesome speech and you get Isham and Urjam, that means strength and food, it makes you happy. So first it is joy. Then now you know how to get things done through speech. So that becomes the intellect. And this also gives you an emotional satisfaction which happens in the mind. And we already talked about the life breath, and we also talked about the physical benefits and the enjoyment physically also you will get by means of food and strength. And this Lord of all these 5 levels, also known as the Panchakosha, is Shiva. And therefore he is called as Bhutesha. And this, therefore, starting from Brahmi, it will go to the next one is Vayu, and from Vayu it is Agni, and from Agni it is Shiva. All these divine forces are involved in bringing out a powerful and truthful speech. And we are now praying to Goddess Saraswati, you please assemble all these gods, all these divine forces you assemble, who are right there in my personality. Energize them and let truthful and wholesome speech come out of my mouth. And for that I am making a prayer saying that Devim Vachamajanayanta Deva Tam Vishwarupa Pasavo Vadanti Sano Mandre Shamur Janduhana, that milch cow of all that I need. Dhenurvagasmanu Patuštutaitu. Then, when for such a speech to come out, it is also very critical that our speech has to be very pleasant. And sometimes lot of harsh talk goes from one person to another person, even while that person is giving a lot of service. So there are people who will be working very hard to make you happy, who will be working very hard to make you comfortable. But because of harsh speech, they are put off. The person who listens to is put off. Sometimes you can be, when you speak very sweetly, even if you don't do anything, still you will be appreciated and loved. And therefore, what is the fundamental thing? Serve your friends, serve your fellow beings, serve your family, but also speak sweetly. Mm-hmm. And this we have always talked about in even in the marriage values and all that. You always speak sweetly. There is a beautiful Subhashita again from Sharngadhara Paddhati. Sharngadhara was one of the great poets who collected a lot of Subhashitas. He was a 14th century poet who was in Rajasthan, the present day Ranthambore. He, in the last days of the Chauhan rule in Rajasthan, his grandfather was the court poet of Rajasthan, the Chauhan kings. And he was a very great Sanskrit scholar, and he was the one who collected extraordinary Subhashitas, and it's called Sharngadhara Paddhati. In Charangadhara Paddhati, he gives a very beautiful metaphor. Vang madhuryat na anyadasti priyatvam. Priyatvam vak madhuryat na anyat asti. In making people happy and comfortable, there is no other way but to speak in a very gentle and loving way. Vak parushyach upakaropi na ishtaha. Upakaropi, even if you are doing a lot of service and lot of help you are giving to the other person for the good of that person, and you are sacrificing your own comfort. This is very common where people who are very sick and then they are being taken care of by the caregivers. Those who are very sick are very rude to the people who give care. We have seen that all the time. And then what are these caregivers doing? They are sacrificing their time, their energy, and they are themselves depressed because their near and dear ones is suffering. And over on top of that, if the sick person actually treats this caregiver very harshly, so much of bitterness sets in. Then what happens? The person who is treating becomes even harsher to that person who is. So it's a lose-lose situation, even though everybody is trying hard to help. So vak parushyach upakaropi na ishtaha. Even though I am doing something good for the other person, if I don't speak sweetly, that will not be liked. And he gives a lovely comparison. Kim taddravyam kokilenopanetam. What material wealth does a cuckoo bring to you? It will just sing very beautifully and you love it. You don't get anything from it. No benefit, no service, no help. Just singing sweetly. Kova loke gardhabasya aparadha. Gardhaba means a donkey. A donkey is giving so much service to the person, but because he tries to open his mouth, everybody beats him by saying, Vang madhuryat na anyadasti priyatvam. So even to please the gods, if you look at all the prayers, all the stotra sahitya, there is Vang madhuryatvam. Very rarely there are what is known as nindastuti. Even in the nindastuti means where you blame, saying that, I pray, I have worshipped so much, I have given so many prayers, I have done this much of the pilgrimage, but you are not taking care of me. Rarely you do that. But most of the prayers are full of sweet words. Because of those sweet words, the deities also bless us. They are as much loving to be praised as human beings are. So such a speech, Dhenuhu Vak, such a beautiful speech, Asman Upasuttutaitu, may that come to us, is the first mantra. We'll see more in the next class.